I made a video comparing the mediums of manga and comics and argued that manga was better. I did my best to use objective facts, and I think I made a solid argument. Recently, Hollywood has been struggling to make a profit with movies, and it has led to many anime fans discussing why anime is thriving while Hollywood is failing. From what I've seen, there's some truth to the points, but there isn't enough nuance or understanding of Hollywood's weaknesses or objective measurements and comparisons. So as a fan of both movies and anime, I'll try my best to throw my hat in the ring. The first major flaw with comparing American movies to anime is the revenue. Right now, Dawn to Dawn Season 2 is one of the most popular anime of the season. Can you tell me how much it has made so far? I can't find anything. Can you tell me how much Season 1 made? I can't. Superman and Fantastic Four came out this year. Can you tell me how much they made? Easily. The Wikipedia page tells me Superman's box office is 510 million and First Steps is 241 million at the time of writing this. Why is it so easy to find the income of movies that just released, but hard to find the income of anime that just released or released last year? It's because they earn money in completely different ways, and the publicity of their earnings is different. In Hollywood, movies make money through ticket sales. These sales are tracked and made publicly available each week. This is called box office. How does anime make money? At first I assumed it was TV advertisements, which is how US TV shows make money, but research told me that wasn't true. They make money through streaming licenses, DVD sales, and merchandising. And then to my knowledge, season-to-season earnings of anime aren't usually made publicly available. I believe it's the same for TV shows. So if we're going to objectively argue that anime is more profitable than Hollywood movies, we don't have the data to prove that. Movies tell us exactly how much was spent and how much was earned. We also know that movies have to make about 2 times their budget to make a profit, but we don't know how much an anime costs and earns, so we can't say that it's more profitable. The reason I could say manga was more profitable than comics is because they're both comics that make their sales publicly available. Next, I want to discuss one of the biggest flaws I've seen in Hollywood through my research. So many movies are flopping because they cost too much to make, which makes it look like Hollywood can't make good movies anymore. That's not true. Movies as a whole are making less, so if creators simply reduce the budgets of their films, they'd make a profit. There are many circumstances that cause movies to be expensive, like overpriced actors, COVID delays, practical stunts, and CGI. We don't know how much anime costs, earns, or how the budget is split, so I can't really comment on it here. To recap, the decreasing box office of movies aren't a representation of their poor quality, but a result of movies costing too much in a time where they don't make as much in general. I think a smaller but important issue is how much the audience has to pay. Let's say I want to watch things the day they come out. Each movie I watch costs $10 to $20 per person. If I'm a father with a wife and 2 kids, that's $40 minimum for one movie. If I want to watch an anime season legally on Crunchyroll, the max I can pay is $16 per month. Let's assume that Crunchyroll has every single anime airing this season. Each season runs for about 3 months, and each season has about 12 episodes. At the cost of $48 for 3 months, I can watch 69 new anime with the entire family. One movie with a 4-person family costs $40, and that's being lenient because they cost closer to $80 realistically. But 69 new anime seasons with a 4-person family cost $49 legally. I keep stressing legally because realistically, a lot of people just pirate their anime. They can get it in maximum quality the same day it drops in Japan. Anime is significantly cheaper to watch, which might result in people placing lower expectations on them. Now, I'll start with goals and move to originality. The goal of a movie is to make money. They do that by making over 2 times the budget of the film. The goal of an anime is to promote the source material, like a manga or light novel. Because of that, anime aren't looked as failures if the source material makes more money as a result of the anime. I've heard that this is why a lot of anime stop at season 2. The anime did its job of promoting the source. That leads perfectly into originality. A common complaint is that Hollywood is failing because of all the sequels and reboots. There aren't any original movies. The reason they do this is presumably because movies aren't making money, so the safest bet is to capitalize on an IP with an established fan base. The result is sequels and reboots. I don't like this either, but if you think about it, anime kinda does the same thing. The cream of the crop in anime are mostly adaptations of source material with an already established fan base. I just went over how anime's main goal is to promote the source. However, this doesn't mean both situations are exactly the same. Anime is smarter because they aren't making remakes of other anime. They're specifically adapted from a source material that is very different. Hollywood's problem is that their remakes are movie remakes of movies. If anime was spamming remakes of old anime, I think it'd be getting the same amount of criticism of running out of ideas, but it's not. In recent years, there are rarely adaptations of books, cartoons, and games. But then when they do, there is occasionally an issue of accuracy. That's why there's a stigma against video game adaptations, for example. There was a time where Hollywood adapted a lot of fantasy books, but that fizzled out. And from what I've heard, a decent amount of those adaptations weren't faithful to the books. Narnia and Percy Jackson are my main examples. But when you look at anime, there are nearly 1-to-1 adaptations of the source material, thus pleasing the audience. In summary, neither the biggest movies or anime are original, but anime is smart about it because they adapt books into animation, meanwhile Hollywood remakes movies into other movies, and then combine that with the viewers pay. If movies are so expensive to watch, and then you add the fact that many movies aren't original, the problems multiply and get magnified. I'm going to quickly skim over this because I think it's the weakest issue, but America is very socially and politically divided, so when films take a clear stance and preach to the audience, it makes the movie divisive, which results in lower income and lower ratings and popularity. Anime doesn't have this problem. In my experience, they rarely have divisive social political topics, and then there's also subjective quality. I'm sure anime fans will say that part of the reason anime is dominating is because their stories are just better, but this is a subjective argument that holds no weight. Quality doesn't equate to popularity. Anime being allegedly better written than movies is not a valid factor to consider in this debate. In conclusion, I think the reason anime is being perceived as above American movies is multifaceted and the truth isn't that easy to discover. They don't earn money the same way, making them hard to compare. Movies also publicize their earnings while anime don't, making them nearly impossible to compare. Movies do have a flaw in how expensive they are to make, one which might not be present in anime and could be easily removed. But movies are also significantly more expensive to watch than anime, which contributes to their perception. Anime don't have the goal of making back the money spent plus more, which makes their optics better than movies. Anime also handles originality and accuracy better than movies. And finally, anime don't do political pandering in a very polarizing time. Overall, there are definitely things that anime does better, but it's difficult to objectively compare monetary success. What's my recommendation to compete with anime? Find creative ways to cut budgets, like The Creator and Godzilla -1. Go back to adapting popular fantasy books, like in the Harry Potter days, but adapt them very accurately and with no social political stuff. Please stop the race swapping or doing anything adjacent. That doesn't solve all the problems, but I think it'd make an impact in both the revenue and perception.